Well, greetings, folks. Um, this one could be rather long, because I got some readings I want to do. Um, it's going to be about what is the future of LGBTQ activism, and I'd kind of been wanting to make a little something about my own personal involvement over the years, um, and my experiences this weekend with Tucson Pride. Unfortunately, I slept through the thing last night at Cafe Passe. I went and laid down and take a nap, and then I don't even know. I haven't checked the phone yet. If Ariana called, I didn't get the message. I didn't hear it, and I didn't wake up until after midnight. I was supposed to be there at 11. I went down at 9 and didn't get back up until after midnight. What a dumbass. Yeah, she had been trying to get a hold of me by text since from 9 o'clock. I told her I'm definitely not going to hear that. I wonder if she called. Yep, she called at 9 o'clock. And I was right as I was falling asleep. I mean, I go to sleep, bam, that fast. Because I my breakfast. Some olives. Yeah, when you land in the street, man, you just learn to sleep quickly and get recharged, an hour or two if you can. Sometimes it's all the best you can do. I try. I can't. The older I get, the less I can. The less length of time I can sleep. And I really need at least 6 hours out of 24 sleeping. I can't get it in one shot anymore. Sometimes I don't get a chance for the nap, and sometimes I'm just too busy to sleep at all. But I don't let that go on for more than 48 hours, the most. Ever. Unless I'm making a lot of money. I sure won't do it fighting trolls. That's that make you crazy. Which is why I'm sitting here. This is part of the activism thing. That's why I'm sitting here with no hat. As trolls like to shame you for shit. And there's really nothing in my life I feel any shame for. I mean, other than like embellishing a story too much, it turns into a fucking nightmare for me. And that's all I'm gonna say about that, motherfuckers. Namaste, assholes. Because nobody wants to hear it. Nobody's buying into it except for other sadomasochistic, sociopathic swindlers. Schadenfreude junk. You're getting off on the misfortunes and pissing people off. The misfortunes of others and pissing them off to react to this. Now, I've been wearing a religious head covering since I was like a teenager. They're trying to, one of the assholes is trying to shame me for wearing a hat. Because I'm bald. I know I'm bald. But I've always worn a religious head covering. And in Arizona, it's not real bright to go out without a wide-brimmed hat when it looks like that outside. And it's over 95 degrees, which is supposed to get up there today, I think. It's supposed to be warming up again this week. But I don't want to waste too much time on the trolls, because like this is something I addressed in my responses to the question about what the direction of LGBTQ activism is. So let me just turn to that, and fuck you trolls. Eat shit and bark at the moon. Because really, thanks for publicity. You sort my audience for me. Anybody coming at me with a bunch of bullshit stories that they heard somewhere is somebody to instantly block. No need to fuck around trying to answer their challenges, because I've done it all before, and like nobody's interested. Somebody's just totally interested in getting personal like that with anybody that I have in my social circles. It's just something that's not done. You gotta really, it's just not done. Character assassination is not a tool of social intercourse in my family of friends. It just isn't. If somebody has a problem with somebody, it's taken in private. It's not aired. Nobody airs their fucking dirty laundry in public, especially not interpersonal shit that arises from petty disagreements over religious and political doctrine. Just like, come on. Just give me a break. It's like, namaste, motherfuckers. Have a nice day. I haven't even looked at their shit yet, and it's already 10 o'clock in the morning almost. It's 20 to 10. and I bet, I haven't, I have business to take care of this morning that I haven't done. I really need to get something completed and get into I'm not going to do it this morning. I need to get it completed today and get into Grijalva's office by Wednesday. Tomorrow, I hope we're going to go to the Lapidary Club. And by Wednesday, I want to have all these statements done for Grijalva. I got 2 lawyers willing to look at it. Because it's more than just my placard. It's about organized cyberbullying, and it's about like corporate interests backing it up. Spreading disinformation and inciting these little bastards to go after people. And I've got all the evidence I've been collecting for years. And it hasn't, I'm not the only victim. I have other victims that I'm representing. It's a major issue. It's not just my internet butthurt from getting chased around by a bunch of stupid children. And the stupid children, I mean, this is just the latest escalation. Is setting this pack of fucking idiots on me. They've been setting packs of idiots on me since 2005. This is just the latest one. So, like, all you kiwi farmers, thanks for making it easy for me. There will be prosecutions eventually. Organized cyberbullying is a plague on the internet that's going to get addressed. Or you guys are going to have to kill me. You're not going to get me nuts enough to kill myself. That just never happened. And really, my father managed never to piss me off enough to kill him either. So, like, I am nuts and totally, like, well managed. I'm totally fucking nuts. I'm completely unemployably nuts and subsidized for being that way. And I'm real good at it too. You guys are like eating up. This is the. Does this face really look like it's been beaten to death? Like it's been abusing drugs all its life? This 63 years old here, kids. And I didn't shave today. And I ain't a man. I'm an intersex person. Whether you want to fucking believe it or not, no matter what you think about about my treatment team being in a fucking informed consent state. They're still doctors and doing their job, you fucking idiots. So anyway, I'm wasting too much time on this because this comes down to like all of us that are committed to social change through the democratic process by nonviolent means have like certain standards we need to adopt for ourselves and each other, and one of them is just to like silence. Is deafening silence is the only thing that's really effective against people just spewing lies about other people. Just ignore them and show the other people what the truth is about you or the issue that you're representing. Bunch of fighting back, shaming them. That's I don't agree with that. And that's what I go into here. So let me get to the reading. The answer that I was responding to, I started to do it as a comment, but then I decided to go for my own answer and just cite the guy. James Finn, former LGBT activist, current thinker, wrote, "The logical endgame for LGBTQ activism in North America, Europe, and similar cultures is the final elimination of homophobia and the full normalization of the spectra of gender identity and sexual orientation." Tyler Newcomb points to education as a crucial means to this end. Obviously, this is extremely important. We must keep reaching out to LGBTQ people and to potential allies with solid information. Yep. Education won't be enough, though. Our strongest enemies mostly don't lack information. Education isn't going to have much of an impact on them. We have to educate. You know, they're spewing disinformation. They're spewing discredited scientific findings by people like Paul McHugh, Blanchard, Ray Blanchard, Zucker, Heyer, a bunch of them. And then you got people like Milo and Jermaine Greer and all the turkey lesbians and all the nasty fags and all the nasty trans misogynists and gay guys. Some of the drag queens have said some, Barry Humphrey said some really shitty things about Caitlyn Jenner when she came out. It really wasn't, you know, the shitty things, some of the shitty things he said about Caitlyn Jenner were deserved, but some of the things he said in general about transgender people were really fucked up. You know, I mean, she is an attention whore. She's a rat bag. You know, she's always been just a useful idiot for the right wing. You know, she's just a useful, you know, an Olympian to wave around. He's a champion. Go get him, girl, kind of. You know, go get him, boy. Super training. She wants to come. She's coming on from the, you know, from the decathlon, coming out of the Wheaties box. Fucking high passion on the cover of Vanity Fair. It's super training, but she is paying it forward. I gotta give her credit for that. She does endow a lot of the advocacy groups. She's giving them millions of dollars, and you know, so like, and this is something else I address in there later, is the hostility. It's no good for us. But anyway, let me get back to this guy, Tyler Newcomb. Obviously, but education won't be enough, though. Our strongest, we have a clash of cultural values on our hands. Homophobic bigotry in our North American, European, and similar cultures is largely entrenched in the values of conservative religion. And it was my opinion is that's mainly because of the separation of the sexes that's required for the imperialist colonials to have their foreign military exploits and, you know, protect the breeding stock while the soldiers are off doing their duty. In the U.S., it's primarily evangelical Christians and conservative Catholics who strongly conserve superstitious homophobic values. The Mormons are right there with them. They didn't reason themselves into the values, so there's not much use trying to reason them out of the values. LGBTQ activism has already started down the road we must take in order to win the culture war. I think ultimate victory is already pretty much a sure thing, but there are plenty of variables that could speed things up or slow them down. Homophobes try to instill shame in us on a regular basis. Our response must be to continue to shame them back. The hippies' response is, man, if it's an eye for an eye all the time, you're going to end up with a bunch of blind people. It's best to turn your back. Religiously motivated homophobic bigots must be treated the same way that racist bigots are treated, as ignorant buffoons who would hold morally repugnant views. We must not allow that any tolerance of those views is acceptable. In popular media, we have to reinforce the meme that homophobes are backwoods hicks, are backwoods hicks, not worthy of respect or thoughtful interaction. Well, there's a lot more problem in the city, particularly in the ghetto, from people of color that are homophobic. That's where most of the murders are coming from. It's abusive. This one in Missouri was definitely backwoods hicks. Oh my God, it's so sick. They gouged her eyes out and stabbed her repeatedly in the genitals and then burned her and dumped her in the garbage. But most of the murders are like people of color, cisgender men that freak out over, it's a lot of freaking out over transgender women. They're just, they're freaking out. It's black guys killing the black women. That's not backwoods honkies killing them. The transgender women of color. Educating the hardcore remnants isn't going to be effective. We have to shame and silence them. You're just like blowing their trumpet for them when you make too much noise shaming them. We have to get our straight cis allies on board with us and express full-on moral outrage when any homophobic person dares to call a queer person a sinner. Nah, I don't buy that. We have to insist that calling us sinners is as morally reprehensible as calling black people niggers. It's morally reprehensible as when transgender people come down on another transgender person for using the word tranny. Fuck that. We must seize the cultural and popular moral high ground. You ain't gonna seize any cultural or popular moral high ground. You don't seize that kind of stuff. You win it. You win the hearts and minds of the public by your actions, by your righteous deeds, and seizing anything usually isn't very righteous. Activism is largely going to continue to rely on the mechanisms of pop culture and social media. Music, films, books, theater, etc. Like I said, you win the high ground with your art. We have to saturate our culture with positive messages about LGBTQ people and negative shaming messages about the people who stigmatize us. And this is where I part company with the guy, because for the most part, yeah, I agree with that, but I think your focus is wrong on the response, and that we need to just like ignore the opposition as much as possible at this point. And here's my argument, is though I agree with most of what he said, I disagree with James Finn about shaming the homophobes back. And this is why I do this, is so that I can catch typos on a fine, and I have to I have to break my habit, and it's about time I did anyway. I write in lowercase text because on the 101 key keyboard on an active window that's like you're typing into something on the server down the road on old programs. If you hit the enter key, that sends the whole thing, and you're not it uploads the whole thing, and you lose shit that way. So I just started typing in lowercase because I was always fat fingering the enter key. But now they've got the program so that I have to be careful on Facebook because there still does it. But here at Quora, where they insist that I use decent formatting, I don't have to worry about fat fingering the enter key. So I need to break that habit right here, and capitalize shit. That's why I'm reading this. One of the reasons. I mean, catching spelling errors and stuff like that. Speaking only for the intersex transsexual component of the LGBTQ community, it seems to me that when we throw huge wine festivals every time Caitlin says something stupid, or a gay guy like Milo or a lesbian like Jermaine Greer goes off on trans misogynistic rant, we are doing ourselves more harm than good, giving them free publicity and looking like a bunch of sanctimonious, simpering, psychopathic snowflakes, sniveling to the opposition in the process. Let's say that one more time. We look like a bunch of sanctimonious, simpering, psychopathic snowflakes sniveling to the opposition in the process. I don't know about that last one. Simpering and sniveling is kind of like redundant. But it's a nice extended alliteration, which is always good for a few laughs. Especially when people like try to criticize you for using it. That's like really funny. I mean, that's one of my favorite literary toys is alliteration. And I'm constantly looking for good alliteration, like just two-word ones that nice, subject and adjective or verb with a nice adverb that are alliterative. I'm always looking for that shit, or I like to go off and stretch them out, and 15 in a row is always fun. So anyway, I shied away from the pride scene for a lot of reasons in the 70s and fell in with the hippies instead. Because the men aren't very macho and the women are generally crustier than square women, I fit in well and had no trouble coming out from behind my beard and grunge to my community in 2014. Hippies favor crushing opposition with deafening silence and just go on being the adorable socially conscious critters we are for our audience, or for their audiences, instead of engaging them directly. We learned our lessons on the futility of that at the Democratic Convention in 1968, Berkeley, Kent State, and Jackson State. A human rights campaign field study on the most effective way to educate people about the transgender condition and our validity as a protected minority class found that direct canvassing is the most effective, far superior to pamphlet mailings and public speakers addressing an audience. Though numerous advocates like Tommy Clinton of the Transgender Community Coalition are giving seminars for the HR departments at a variety of institutions, particularly healthcare providers, on transgender sensitivity. Today, it makes no sense to confront the extremist Christians directly, with polls running strongly opposed to new discriminatory law and in favor of queer equality. We need to be strengthening our ties to the straight world much more than fighting off the opposition. Shall I repeat that for effect? I mean, this is where it's at. It's like, stop fighting with each other and stop fighting with, stop fighting and reach out in love. Love trumps hate every time. Live life loving living, and loving life will loving life loving life will love you back. Since Obergefell versus Hodges decision ruling that killed the cash cow for the Christian evangelist lobbying group, they have Christian nationalist lobbying groups. They have turned their sights on the transgender kids showing up in the public schools. Since Coy Mathis won the right to pee in the little girls' room in 2013, to the economic backlash against North Carolina for HB2, leading to many states tabling theirs and the Texas legislators squashing their toilet bill completely, we are winning in the courts and in the polls. To my eye, the biggest threat to queer equality comes from within the LGBT community itself, with all the lateral hostility and relational bullying crazing the political front the world is seeing. Getting my morning meds. I probably should take a squirt. Where's my squirt? Oh, here it is. I was needing it last night too. It's been pretty dusty this week. The humidity's down again, so the dust is back up. It's a very dusty town because of low humidity and the rail. It's not as bad as now as it used to be because the rail's mostly been ripped out. So anyway, back to this. To my eye, the biggest threat to queer equality comes from within the LGBTQ community itself, with all the lateral hostility and relational bullying crazing the political front the world is seeing. Without solidarity across the board, we will never generate the political clout necessary to defeat all the hate legislation in process or getting existing law amended to clearly delineate sex and gender, protecting the rights of self-expression of gender non-conforming people and sovereignty over our bodies. No intersex person should have to suffer genital mutilation accompanied with a lifetime of abuse by their families and the psychiatric establishment when relief from my gender dysphoria and the behavioral health issues associated with the abuse was so simply found with HRT and acceptance as a trans feminine person in my community. If there are any two issues that need to be brought to the forefront, it is to get intersex infant genital surgery and all conversion therapy banned as federal law. The rest of the LGBTQ world needs to recognize that historically the intersex and transsexual people have been at the forefront of the struggle, throwing the first glasses at the Compton cafeteria and the Stonewall Inn, always taking the worst lumps. How many people have been killed in America this year for being homosexual? We're up to 21 dead transgender people this week, with the latest, a 17-year-old found mutilated and burned in a Missouri trash pile. I should read her story into this too, because this is where it's at. This is a 17-year-old child that just recently come out. Now that the LGBTQ community has won their rights to mate with people of the same sex, if they're be shaming anybody, it is the homosexual men and women declaring that transgender people are mentally ill and should not be afforded equal rights. In support of the debunked pseudoscience of the discredited doctors Christian right loves to cite. It still needs a little polish, but I'm going to go with it just for now. Yeah, I think I want to take out simpering, sniveling. Which is the one or the other? Simpering and sniveling aren't working in the same line. Okay. So what are we going to do from here with this? It's already almost a half hour, so I think I'm just going to wrap it up. What do we got there? Well, current mess on the floor. I'm getting better. No, I can get back to my own experience. The reason I shied away from the pride community was that my only access to gender therapy at that time was in the gay sex trade. And it just wasn't going to happen around the corner from my grandparents. And with a father who liked to take his friends out walking at the transgender sex workers when they were in town, driving down the street. Oh, look, there's a transsexual hookers. So that wasn't going to happen. And then the AIDS epidemic, I was like, I'm staying clear of that. The two sex workers I knew when I was busking on Broadway in Chicago, One of them died of AIDS, and the other one I ran into years later, working for a place called the Smuggler that I was selling to in the 90s. Um, and she ended up meeting her Prince Charming, and getting taken out as the wife and mistress of this guy in Lake County in a nice big house. Um, but I was more comfortable around the hippies, like I said in my answer. Um, was that the answer I read? Yeah. It's the old timers disease. CRS. You can't remember shit. Short-term memory is especially weird when you smoke a lot of pot. A lot of things just aren't important enough to remember. And even from like 1 minute to the next, you're like, oh yeah. Um, but anyway, I just was always more comfortable with hippies. Hippies don't care about anything but whether you're kind or a mean dick. If you're a nice person and you say reasonable things, even if it's like off the wall, as long as it's like nice and not too far off the wall, within reason. As long as you're a nice person, as long as you feel comfortable, as long as I feel comfortable around you, it's cool. Whatever. I mean, whatever. As long as you're nice. As soon as you start getting mean, aggressive, pushy, confrontational, talking shit about people, talking too much shit about social injustice. Boy, you get too much on the stump, boy. And not let me up on that stump. Or make me listen to your shit and not let me put it in there and say I'm out of here. This is not gone. So anyway, I really don't need to validate myself for any like misogynistic idiots. Um, and if you want to believe what they say about me, well, hey, cool. Go talk about it where I can't see it. So thanks for watching, everybody. Happy day. Bye.